Hey traders, this is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day market summary. And what a day it was. Janet Yellen surprised the street a bit, coming out with no interest rate hike today, which was expected, and not too much guidance in terms of future rate hikes. She changed the language of, going back in December, how many rate hikes were expected for 2016, which was originally forecast to be about 4 rate hikes. They toned that back down to possibly 2 rate hikes in 2016. And the main reason for that was global concerns, some global risk concerns, and what all the other central banks are doing is going in the other direction. So markets got a big surprise there. So where did S&P finish up? About 60 basis points. Qs, NASDAQ outperformed up 90 basis points. And small caps ended right in the middle of that, up about 70 basis points on the day. However, those were nice gains, but there were some really interesting movers that happened within the sector. So if you just looked at the indices, nice little gains, but there was a lot of movement going on based on what happened in the dollar and based on what the interest rate expectations are. So let's take a look at the dollar. So that finished basically on the lows of the session, down about 1%. And with this dollar move, you saw gold miners, gold really rally. Take a look at gold today, up 2.5%. The bigger move was in GDX, that's the gold mining ETF, finished up 6.8% today. What did we see in terms of unusual option activity? Pretty much every miner that you can think of had unusual option activity, all to the call side. So Newmont Mining, calls bought. EGO, which I have not seen too much unusual option activity before. Take a look at this, calls, all opening here in EGO. ABX, take a look at how many calls traded in ABX today, 28,000. So another gold miner. So these were well bid today, and people appeared to be buying more of these after the Fed announcement today. So a really big move there today. That did well. That was the best performing area of the market. Also metals and mining, that ended up 5.3% on the day. Really strong group. One of the things that started to move right away was Freeport-McMoRan. This name ended up 10% on the day. You could see when this started to move right at 2 o'clock and just kept on going and finished close to the highs of the session. Other names that did well, any energy names, XOP, XLE. We actually saw put buying in the morning. Perhaps that put buyer was wrong. So XOP ended up 3.8% today. Also, emerging markets, huge gain for emerging markets today. A lot of call buying in emerging markets as well today. So again, some of these movers outside of your normal indices, outside of, let's say, the FANG stocks, there was some huge momentum. EEM finished up 2% on the day. Take a look at all this particular April 35 call buyer. We saw this particular trader go in several times, and you could tell that the shares were being bought as some contracts went up for 20 cents. More went up at 21, more went up at 22. Some were also bought at 25 cents. So it looked like someone was repetitive buyer of EEM. EWZ, we also saw call buying in the Brazil ETF as well. So really some interesting move, with the dollar moving down and commodities going up. That's very beneficial for a lot of the emerging market names. ASHR, this was a name that we saw call buying prior to the Fed announcement. Looked like somebody had a good feel for what was going to happen this afternoon. But you could see ASHR, a huge call buyer, April 23.9 calls. Now, this strike is pretty unusual. It kind of is a strike that you'll remember. The reason why I remembered it is because we saw the same call buying yesterday in ASHR. Again, ASHR is the Shanghai ETF. Closely tracks Shanghai, so a little bit different ETF than FXI, which tracks Hong Kong shares. This tracks the A shares in Shanghai. So let me just bring up that order for you. Here was the call buyer yesterday in ASHR, and that name did very well today. I would watch what China does tonight. This name ended up closing on the highs, up 2.5%. So you will need a move larger than 2.5% in the Shanghai tonight for that really to for this ETF for it to move to further tomorrow. However, I would look at names tomorrow morning like Baidu, names like Baba, JD.com. If there's going to be a big move in the overseas markets tonight and in China, I would look for at those three names tomorrow. So those are something to put on your watch list for tomorrow. What else did I want to go over? So what was positive for some groups, negative for others today, with the possibility of less rate hikes. Regional banks came under pressure. They actually came back from the lows. I actually thought that this may continue more to the downside. They were only down 1.1%. Could be because the rest of the market was just so heavily bid. But I do think that this group could be weak in the next couple weeks to months if there is no rate hike in the near future. So this name is actually, if we go to my charts over here, I advised a couple, I had talked about a couple weeks ago a head and shoulders inverse head and shoulders pattern in the KRE ETF. I think now may be a good time to take profits on that particular trade as it broke the neckline. We did see some put buying in names like WFC, 2,500. So not as large of orders that we saw in the gold mining group and in emerging markets, but we did see put buying in some of the major banks. There was one story that was out I did see after the close about possible shareholder meeting. There was some chatter about whether or not names like JP Morgan and Citigroup have a possibility of being broken up. Something that they were going to possibly give over to the shareholders. I don't know if that was a rumor, just something I read on Twitter, something to watch out for. That could be a different change for the banks. But other than that, this group I am now bearish on. Names, taking a look at the implications for, again, for less interest rate hikes on the horizon. What is that good for? Utilities, XLU. That had another nice day today. Again, big move up here after the announcement, up 1.5%, and has been in a really nice trend since the end of January. So some of the defensive names, I also like XLP a lot. That's the Consumer Staples ETF. You can actually pair that, maybe go long XLP and go short XLY, Consumer Discretionary. I think that trade will continue to work. I like names like PG. This should get, a double effect with the dollar going down. A lot of their overseas positions, they won't have to worry so much about a strong dollar if the dollar remains weak. And then also some of these names are have higher dividend yielding names that will also do well in this particular environment. So consumer staples is something that I like. The other area that I dislike right now is healthcare and especially biotech. We did see some more selling that took place in the XLV ETF. Just wait till Bloomberg brings this up. 1.2 million shares traded. That looked to be definitely a sell in this particular position. So pretty sizable trade here in XLV, the healthcare ETF. If you do like this particular sector, one thing that I think will outperform is the big pharma stocks. There is an ETF for that, PPH. Paul Harry, I think that'll outperform versus biotech, considering a lot of those larger pharmaceutical names have overseas operations. A weaker dollar should help those names. But overall, if you take a look at the IBB ETF and the XBI ETF, looks like it just broke trend here, was moving positively. And here's the trend line that I have drawn on my charts. A lot of this was also due to VRX, but nevertheless could be a troubled area with the election going into the 2016 election. So those are a couple sectors that I like. XLU, utilities, I like consumer staples a little bit better. I also like silver. We saw a lot of SLV call options trade today. And I dislike right now biotech and the banks. One other final note to watch for the end of the week. We've had a lot of events going on this week, a lot of economic central bank meetings. Don't forget about on Friday is quadruple witching. The last couple quadruple witching days, the market has sold off pretty heavily on quadruple witching. So something to keep in mind for Friday. All right, so thank you for listening to the market recap video for today, Thursday, the day before St. Patty's Day. So have a great day and have a happy St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Thank you.